Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource podcast. This is show 151, and I'm pumped you're here today because today we have on the show Laundromat owner and Laundromat author, Mark Sordos, who wrote the Laundromat Bible. And we'll have a link to that just in case you want to pick that up down in the description or in the show notes at laundromatresource.com/show 151. We'll have all the links that get mentioned today at that show notes page, laundromatresource.com/show 151. So I am super pumped to have Mark on, and we go through a whole bunch of stuff today: seller financing, how he actually found the deal. We go through the math of finding the deal, which is interesting. I don't think we've done that on the show before, but that was pretty cool. It was seller financing. We talk about how to leverage the community and get involved in the community to grow your business, how to squeeze every single quarter out of your laundromat, whether it's big, small, whatever. We get into all that today. So super cool episode. Can't wait to introduce you to Mark, which is awesome. And real quick, today's fast lane tip is if you are a woman in this industry or a woman who's trying to get into this industry, we have been having live Q&As for the ladies. And if that is you, we've got another one coming up on April 17th. Women's live Q&A, laundromat related, with Lauren Burkowski and Madison Anderson. So super awesome. The last one was a huge hit, huge success. Last couple of them that we've had, huge success. We're going to keep doing those. So huge shout out to Lauren and Madison for doing that. And check out laundromatresource.com/events to get signed up for that one. And also everybody should go check out laundromatresource.com/events to see all the events we got going on. We got webinars happening. We've got Q&As happening. We've got meetups happening. We've got all kinds of stuff going on over at laundromatresource.com/events. So check that out. And let's jump into it with Mark right after a word from our sponsors.
What's up, Laundromat owners? This is Gabe from BMR with today's quick marketing tip. In today's fast-paced world where smartphones are an integral part of everyone's life, having a mobile-optimized website for your laundromat isn't just a luxury anymore, it's become a necessity. Why, you might ask? Well, let's consider accessibility. Your customers are constantly on the go. They need to find laundry services quickly and easily, and more often than not, they're using their phones to do this. A mobile-optimized website ensures that they can access your services effortlessly, anytime, and anywhere. Secondly, it's about user experience. A quick loading website that's easy to navigate on a small screen with straightforward information is key to keeping your potential customers engaged. They can easily locate what they need, such as operating hours, location, or services offered without frustration. Third, let's talk about online presence. In a digital age, a strong online presence is crucial for business growth. A well-designed website improves your visibility in search engine results, attracting more customers to your laundromat. Lastly, it's a reflection of your brand. A professional, modern website sends a message that you're a forward-thinking business owner who values customer convenience and experience. Let's embrace the digital era and ensure your laundromat is not just a place to clean clothes, but a reflection of your commitment to modern, customer-centric service. So for more free information about how to build an effective mobile website for your laundromat, visit us at buildwithbmr.com/mobile.
All right, Mark, thank you for coming on the show, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you having me on. I've seen a bunch of episodes, and I'm very excited about today.
Awesome. Well, I am super excited to talk to you, get to know you a little bit more, hear about your laundromat journey and how you are squeezing every cent you can out of your laundromat, which is great. Excited to hear about that. But real quick, why don't you give us a little background? Who are you, and take us through the journey of how you got into this industry?
Well, I'm Mark Sordos, born and bred in New Jersey. I had a business in my 20s. We did mystery shopping, and good things happened with that. And then in my 30s and 40s, I'm open and honest about it. I still suffer to this day from depression. So in those 20 years, I worked for other people, had some low-level management jobs, and I got one. I was like, okay, this one isn't so bad. Maybe I'll kind of ride it out from here. And at one point, my wife and I had looked at laundromats, but we didn't have the money. It really wasn't the right time. Excuse me. So I got sick and I got hospitalized. And I said to myself, why am I spending, all this energy, for this company that doesn't really care about me at all? So for the 2 months that I was out on disability, I just devoured everything I could about laundromats. And my wife was on board with the idea also. And, so we just looked for a local laundromat. I had a little trouble finding one, but, when I did, all the blocks fell into place. And it was a pretty easy process of, at least for me, of purchasing one. And I was lucky enough to find one that's like 12 minutes from my house because, I also wanted to be involved in the community, that it was in. So right where my laundromat is, we've done a lot of shopping. Used to be a movie theater there. My wife, goes to the supermarket right there. Yeah, so we were very, familiar with the community.
What was it about laundromats that drew you to them? I mean, you said you looked at them before and the timing wasn't right. What was it that was attractive to you?
I just think that, it's something that everybody can use with the pickup and delivery and the wash and fold. It's a good, honest business. It has, very, if you run it correctly, there's very, steady income and revenue. You get to know the people, that come into your store. And more than just, hi, Bob, or, something like that. I mean, you really can have, while they're waiting to do their laundry, you can have really, in-depth conversations with people and really get to know them. And that's also what, keeps people, coming back. So you can be a part of the community and still make a nice profit. So I think it's a really great, industry to get into.
Yeah, I love that. I love all those things because, being kind of community based and still being, profitable there's a lot of satisfaction, at least for me, in that being part of the community and getting to know the people in the community on a level that's a little deeper than just hi. But like you're saying, it's not necessarily an acquaintance. You're getting to know people. You're becoming a part of their life and part of their routine, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So you decided to get one. How did you find this one that was so close to your house?
Well, I first went on the websites and I found out I really wasn't having any luck going through them. So what I did was I wrote a letter, I went on Yahoo and I just got addresses, in a 10-mile radius around my house. And I just sent out letters to laundromats. Didn't even know the owners. I just said, hey, I'm looking to buy one in Middlesex or Monmouth County. If you're looking to sell or somebody who's interested, here's my phone number. And I didn't think anybody would call me, but what do I have to lose? A stamp. And to my surprise, 3 places called me. One wanted too much money. One, after talking to the gentleman, he couldn't pull the trigger. He had owned it for like 20 years and he just wasn't ready. And then the third one was like the Goldilocks one. I hit the owners at just the right time and everything worked out.
Do you remember how many total letters you sent out?
I probably sent out about 30.
That's pretty good. 30 letters, 3 responses, and 1 deal.
I was very surprised. But, it's one of those things, you don't know what's going to happen until you give it a shot. And what do you really have to lose? I mean, the worst thing that happened was, and I don't know why they did this, but a lady called me up and yelled at me. And I was thinking, that's fine. I mean, you can just throw the letter away. That's what everybody else is going to do. You don't have to if you don't want to sell, just don't answer the call. But, yeah. So I got those responses and, I would do it again.
Yeah. I've definitely had similar experiences where people are angry that I was interested in buying their laundromat. And I don't really understand, other than thinking that maybe they think you're trying to come poach their territory or something like that. But I don't really understand that response, but it's happened to me. It's happened to consulting clients of mine. It's happened to some of the like it does happen. So, but, I'm not at all surprised. I'm a little surprised at the number. That's pretty good numbers, but I'm not surprised that it worked because it's still working today. And, one thing that I always talk about is like, listen, anything you can do on the couch in your underwear, anybody can do it, right? So if you're just looking at the business websites, some other dude is sitting in their underwear on the couch looking at the same businesses. So if you go out there and take the extra step, make a little bit of effort, go knock on some doors of laundromats, go send out some letters and see what happens. A lot of times deals shake free that other people don't find because they don't go out and get them. So kudos to you.
Right.
Get after it.
Thank you.
What kind of shape was that laundromat in when you bought it?
It was in good shape. I felt like it was probably like 95% like move-in ready, to use like a house term. There was, you move into a house and, you maybe want to change some, the paint in one room. It's not really your color. But for the most part, I would have to say that the previous owners, they did a nice job of, fixing it up. So I didn't really have to do a tremendous amount, a little tweaking to make it my own. They also had a POS system in there. So that made the transition, a lot easier, with the wash and fold, pick up and delivery. So, it's weird too, you know how usually, the owners stay on for X amount of time to help you transition. They stayed on for like an hour, because it was pretty much, just take over and, I might have emailed, a couple of simple questions, but it was pretty much move-in ready. So we were good to go. And I had done a lot of my homework too. I think that's important, mm-hmm. And one piece of advice I'd give it to anybody who's just getting their very first laundromat is, you might have a lot of like brilliant ideas, like what you're going to do. And I think the first thing you should do, is spend like, 4 to 8 weeks just learning your laundromat, because like there's a lot of simple things and it's like, I didn't know that. So before you have these grand marketing ideas, maybe you should figure out like, well, which keys open, what machine, or, where does this go? Or how do you do a proper wash and fold, before you start doing all these other ideas. Because I remember the one morning, it was probably the first morning that I was alone. And we had been shutting off the water because we're in New Jersey. It's winter, that kind of thing. The pipes don't freeze. Well, the lady puts her money in the machine. Somebody else puts their money in the machine. And they're like, there's no water coming out. And I was thinking, oh my God, I don't know what to do, and then what turned out, what actually happened was, and I realized I forgot to turn the water on, so something as simple as that, learn the laundromat first, and then you can do all your brilliant ideas once you got everything, set.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's really great advice. And I was cracking up when you were talking about learn what keys go to where and stuff. I don't know. I've shared this before, but I got like one of those like cookie dough buckets just full of keys when I took over. No rhyme or reason, no order to them at all, no labels or anything. And I'm like, okay, like here I go.
Right. And then you just start, all right, let's see what this opens. What does this open?
Yeah. Yes. I swear I spent like a week trying to figure out what those keys open. I still have keys from then that I don't know what they ever went to. So I think that's great. That's great advice there. And, we've had similar experiences where, the water heater was turned off and we couldn't figure out why there was no hot water, all that kind of stuff. You just got to learn how the thing operates, where everything is, how to open everything.
That is so important because I know that like I got like a text like, oh, the coin machines. Well, you have 2 coin machines, but I got a text like the one's not working, and I'm like, oh, they're so expensive. I hope I don't need a new one. So I go there and I forgot to turn it back on after I made change.
Yeah.
So something that simple, so now I realize, like, if you ever think you forgot, just put $1 in, see if the quarters come out, then another time it happened. And I'm like, okay, I go there. I'm like, oh, it's on. Now what's wrong? So I call the number on the machine and the lady's like, did you reset it? I'm like, how do you do that? She goes, there's a little red button right next to the hopper. Just hit that. You should be fine. Bingo. Probably, I haven't had a problem since, but it's all those little things you don't know. You got to learn.
Yep. That's part of the fun of it, though. It's part of part of the journey, part of the adventure. Okay, so
it's fun now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's super stressful. I had like times I'm sure we could swap stories all day, but I had a few times where, somebody's clothes were in the washer and the wash just kind of kept going and I couldn't figure out. I'd stop it. I'd, hit the breaker. I'd do all that stuff. And the door wouldn't open. And I'm like, I don't know how to get your clothes out of this machine. Like, I'm not sure what to do here. Right. That's super stressful in the moment, but
it is. Yes.
It is part of the adventure of it. Okay. So you found this deal, through a direct mail campaign. How did you negotiate this deal? I'm assuming there was no broker. Did you guys bring a broker into it?
No, there was no broker. Neither one of us, since I contacted them directly, there was really no, need for it. I did your basic, your due diligence, having done as much research as I possibly could. I had a fairly good idea of, what I thought the laundromat was, worth. And then we just kind of negotiated, from there. I mean, there's no one perfect, solution, that values everything. There's so many variables in it. So you pretty much just have to be like, okay, well, this is what I think it's worth. And then, give and take, until you reach a number that you can both be satisfied with.
Was that a difficult process or go pretty smoothly with these guys?
Well, these particular guys, I think were pretty savvy. So they were realistic. I think that sometimes when you go on these listings, and this is not just laundromat, this is for any business. I had actually tried to buy a business. And I was like, oh, that sounds like perfect, for my family. And the person wanted like $750,000 for it. And then, when I talked to the broker, they actually had it listed for like $350. He talked them down from $750 to $350. So when I was going through the numbers, I was like, this place is worth maybe $100,000 if somebody will buy it. Mm-hmm. So obviously I passed on it. And then about a year later, it just went out of business on its own. And then you wonder, well, where did this guy originally get $750,000 from? He just picked it out of the air, and then even the broker who talked him down, it still wasn't worth that much, but he didn't want to lose the listing. So he took the listing, but obviously nobody, bid on it. So. Yeah.
Yeah. We see that a lot in this industry, too, where, and I've said this multiple times, but most people who are selling a laundromat have never sold a laundromat before. It's their first time selling, right? Most people who are buying a laundromat, it's their first time buying. Most people who sell a laundromat, it's their first time selling. So, a lot of times people don't know how their business is valued or how to optimize that value and maximize it for the sale. And so, they just pick a number out of the blue or they list it really high, in hopes to negotiate a higher price point.
Correct. Well, a lot of times they base the price on just how much do they need. I want to retire. I could use $500,000. Well, let's ask for $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dead on. That's true. That's funny. That's really true. Actually, that's funny. Okay. So how did you purchase it? You don't have to talk numbers necessarily if you don't want to, but did you finance it? Did you buy it outright? What did that look like?
Well, some of it is owner financing, which I would highly recommend to anybody. Even if you have the total amount in cash, because I just think that with owner financing, they still have some skin in the game. So if they believe enough to say, look, I'll let you owe me, I don't know, half. We'll just say half, you know, and you're going to pay me off half in 3 years, let's say. Well, then they believe that you're going to make it, because if they're trying to scam you, they're not going to get that money back. Yeah, you can sue and all this other stuff, but realistically, they're not going to get the money. So if they have the confidence to owner finance part of it, then I feel better as the buyer of any business that, okay, you know what, these numbers they're accurate. What you're telling me is true, because it's, you know, you give them the entire amount on day one. They're like, you know what, I might have to help you for 2 weeks or whatever, but I got my money, you know? So if they're on the hook for some of it also, I think it just makes you as the purchaser feel more confident that everything they told you is pretty much accurate, because they still want to get the rest of their money. So that's how I did it. So I put some of my own down, owner finance the rest.
Okay. So you didn't combine that with another, like a conventional loan or an SBA or anything, just owner financing and your money.
Yes.
Love it, man.
Well, that also helped to make it quicker too. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's not like other parties involved. I mean, like I said, I probably got lucky. You know, these guys were reasonable. They were business people. So we didn't really have, you know, people getting in. The only problem we have are like the lawyers on the last day, and they were arguing with each other. And we're just like, guys, you know, just figure it out. It's everything is agreed upon. What is the problem? You know, you didn't get this piece of paper. You know, this one didn't send it. It doesn't matter. Just get it done. That's literally the only problem we had. We didn't have any problem between us. The lawyers or, you know, having hissy fits on the last day.
Yeah. Well, because they're making, you know, $100 every 15 minutes that they argue.
That's true.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So, so awesome. You owner finance. What were the payback? Was it 3 years for the payback for you on the owner?
For us, it was 3 years. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I get asked about owner financing. I mean, obviously, like people are interested in owner financing deals a lot, but a lot of people don't understand how they work or how to set them up or what you can do. And, you know, one of the benefits is you can set them up however you want to set them up, as long as you and the seller agree and it benefits both of you guys. It's one of the benefits of them for sure.
Oh, definitely.
All right. So you bought this thing. The lawyers duked it out, finally got it settled or whatever. You bought this thing. What was it like when you took over? I mean, you said they only hung around for like an hour. I mean, were you feeling pretty confident? Like, okay, I've done my research. I know where I'm going. How were you feeling when you actually took over?
You know, there were mixed emotions. You know, I remember staying there like an hour afterwards with my wife, and it's like, oh, wow, now it's real. You know, because you talk, you research, you know, you go to other laundromats, nothing, you know, okay, well, now you own it. Okay, you signed over a check, you got some keys, and it's like, it's ours. So, I mean, there was that, you know, wow, this really happened. You know, also the excitement. And then like, okay, well, I guess we got to learn how to run a laundromat, because like, you know, there's only so much you can read and get from videos. There's nothing like actually like doing it, you know? And so some of it was just, you know, trial and error. You know, we inherited 2 employees. One is a superstar. The other one I had to fire. But, you know, I did learn, you know, I just kind of wanted to know, like, okay, what is your like day like? What is your everyday process? You know, how do you intake an order, and, you know, how do you, you know, fold these so everything is uniform and things like that. So there was, you know, in the very beginning, there was a steep learning curve, but I mean, you do learn it quickly. So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of, you know, like you said, you know, the door gets stuck on the machine, and it's like, Okay, well, we own it. We got to figure out how to get your clothes out. Plus, they're soaking wet, So it's like, all right, well, let's switch this on and off, and hopefully, it'll let me open up the door. And so you have those, but like you said, it is a fun, exciting time though too. Yeah, because it's all new, and you're just like soaking things in like a sponge.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement, especially when you walk in your first day. And there's a lady naked washing all her clothes. That was my first day. So
that's an awesome first day. That did not happen to me, though.
Yeah. Well, not to, it's never the people you want it to be. You know what I mean?
Okay. I get you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just kidding. Okay. So, you took this thing over. I mean, did you find that it was performing as advertised? These guys were pretty straight shooters with how it was doing?
Yes, I did find. I mean, honestly, I'll admit, I was hoping, you do your due diligence, you go through all the statements and everything like that. But yeah, it was pretty much performing within line. So, the first year that we had it full, we exceeded our first year expectations. Not wildly, but we did. So I was happy with that. And I based them on the numbers that they gave me. So yes, I was satisfied.
Good. When did you buy this, by the way? How long ago was this?
It was December of 22.
Okay.
So awesome. Last year would have been our first full year start to finish as owners.
Nice. Did you grow the business or keep it steady? How did that trajectory look?
I mean, we're growing it because one of the advantages I guess I had over the other owners were that I spend more time on the business. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily in the store, doing the folding, although I've learned how to do that a little bit. But I try to grow the commercial part. So we've added some physical therapy places. We added a dermatologist the other day, a spa. We're actually starting with a golf course this spring when it opens up. It's still a little chilly here in New Jersey, so they haven't opened yet. But they're going to be a brand new client for us this year. So I've been spending the time on the commercial side and the pickup and delivery.
Nice. You said they were doing pickup and delivery when you took over?
They were doing a small amount of pickup and delivery. We haven't increased that because I really feel like that's where our growth is. Where our store is located, I don't have a big store. It's maybe like 1,500 square feet. The town is built up. The store has been there 20 years. So if you're a renter, you know it exists. There's not like 20 laundromats, in the area. There's, your typical amount. There's 2 or 3 maybe that you could go to. So we're not really going to grow the business with more people bringing in their laundry to self-serve. Our growth is the pickup and delivery and the wash and fold, which has done well for us.
Do you know what percentage, when you took over, what percentage of your pickup and delivery and wash and fold were residential versus commercial?
I would say it was probably like 95 and 5% commercial. I'm going to estimate it's probably like 80-20 now.
What made you decide to go after those commercial accounts?
Well, there's several reasons. One, I think, is because they're steady. Like a physical therapy office, isn't going to go on vacation in the summer. Somebody's not going to lose their job and say, okay, look, we don't need to do this anymore. Because if, the one place we have, we probably do we pick up on Friday, like 60 or 70 pounds of towels. Well, they don't have, I know some places do physical therapy. They might have a washer dryer, but a lot of places where they're set up, they can't do that. So what are they going to do? Take it home? They pay regularly. You pick up like clockwork, like for these people every Friday, bring it back Monday morning. You have time to get it done. They're not going to really worry too much about the price unless you're really off the charts. They're not going to complain. They pay on time. So they're great to have.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I think that that's a good opportunity for growth for a lot of people right now. If they're interested in doing that, I know some owners don't want to do those, for different reasons, but I think those small commercial clients can be a great way to build a base, especially if you're starting from scratch. Or if you're trying to expand it and you already have a base, a lot of times those are underserved or nobody's serving, those businesses. So I think that's a great opportunity there.
Well, especially when you're in a small area, the pickup and delivery becomes easier. So for the physical therapy place that I just mentioned, literally in the next building over, because it's like a medical complex, we just picked up a dermatologist. We said, look, we can do it. We're here every Friday. I can do it for you inexpensively if you let us pick it up on Friday. We just walk to the next building, get your laundry, and deliver it back at the same time. So, you have those, even on a small scale, like those economies of scale, where you're hitting several places, bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. Huge advantage too. If you can pick up bulk loads of laundry from one location or one small area, huge there. Are you doing for your pickup and delivery, are you doing like a route based, or do you do on demand, or how do you, let's say I want to come do, I want you to come pick up laundry, either residential or commercial. Do I just say, hey, here's a window?
Well, right now,
how does that work for you?
Right now we have a window, for our size. We do Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay.
And the normal turnaround, unless you request something else, is the next day. So most people have been fine with that. We do have some people that aren't, let's say, tech savvy, and they'll call us up, which I don't want to say I hate, but it does make it a little more difficult, because now you got to remember that Mrs. Smith needs 10 pounds of laundry picked up on Tuesday because she can't put it in the system. But but for our pickup and now for commercial customers, it might be a little different based on their needs. But for residents, we have that 8 to 1 window, and we'll work with you. Sometimes people say, well, could you come a little later? Yeah, that's fine. That's one of the advantages of also, living close to the laundromat that you have. Worst case, I can just swing over. It's not a problem. I can get it myself.
Yeah. Way to take the bull by the horns there. I like that. When you're doing your pickup and delivery, service, what, well, first of all, when you bought the business, did it come with a vehicle also? Or did you have to purchase or rent or use your own vehicle? Or how do you do the vehicle side of it?
We just use our own vehicle right now and just, pay back the mileage. I don't think we're at the level yet, because again, we're not driving huge distances. We're just driving, around a radius of the store. So it's just an expense I didn't want to take on yet.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, especially if you're growing the business right now and you're not exceeding capacity. Then yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. So you have bought this laundromat. You are growing this thing. You're focusing, more or less on commercial, pickup and delivery or wash and fold. Do many commercial clients drop it off, or do they majority do pickup and delivery?
The majority do pick up and delivery.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Okay, so what's the plan here? Is your plan to stick with one laundromat and just grow it, or do you have plans of expanding at some point? Have you thought about it?
If I could find something in the area, you know, there was one that was abandoned that I had a partner on this one I own, but I was going to partner with somebody on any future ones. And, you know, long story short, it was abandoned. You know, we talked with the landlord. We talked with the company that owned the equipment because there was still money owed on it. And basically the landlord decided to keep it and become a laundromat. But I'm going to keep my eye on it and, you know, see how he does, because I don't know if he actually knows anything about running a laundromat other than the fact that, well, I already own the building and they left all the stuff behind. So we'll see how it goes. But if I could find one, I would definitely consider, you know, a second one. But the thing is, like, me personally, and everybody's is different. I don't want one that's an hour away. You know, I looked at one that was an hour, and, you know, about 45 minutes into the drive, I was thinking, boy, you know, if this place had a problem at dinner time, how am I going to get there?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're talking 2 hours round trip plus whatever the issue is. If somebody calls out sick, I mean, so for me personally, I would rather just stick, you know, local.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, because a lot of people right now are frustrated because it's hard to find laundromats right now. It's hard to find laundromats that are, you know, reasonable to buy. And so a lot of people ask a lot about, can I look out of the area? How far out can I go? Can I go an hour away? Can I go 2 hours away? Can I go out of state? And I mean, I guess the answer is, yeah, you can, but these are some of the things you got to think about, right? Is like, when there's problem, who's handling them? When, you know, when you will have to go out there at some point. So are you okay with driving 2 hours round trip at dinner time or not? Right. So these are some of the things to think about.
Well, I think the big question is, how much are you going to be involved?
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, you can pay people to do everything, you know, and then I mean, it's going to cut into your profits, but you could do that. But the more hands-on that you want to be, probably the closer you should live to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you prefer hands-on or hands-off? What's your thoughts on that spectrum there?
I mean, me personally, I'm more of a hands-on. You know, I like going in there. I like talking the people up. You know, I think it's a good way just to, you know, build loyalty. You know, some of the things I've tried to do was to connect with the community. We put a little library in there. We had some, you know, top loaders that were just ancient and they weren't being used. And I knew that going in. You know, the one didn't even work. The guy told me. So we just got rid of those. And I was like, you know, why don't we just make some more space? Because we are kind of cramped. But one of the things that we did, you know, I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I connected with the local library. So the Chamber bought the bookcase and the library donated all the books. So anytime I need, and it's mostly kids' books. Anytime I need more books, I just call the library and they give me more. So it doesn't cost me anything. And a lot of times you'll see kids walk out with 2, 3, 4 books. You know, sometimes when we have pickup and deliveries and I know they have like kids at home, you know, we'll drop off some books for them. You know, so I like trying to get involved, you know, with the community because I think people appreciate that. You know, even if they don't read the books, you know, they're just like, oh, that's nice that you're doing that with the library. You know, and we have right by the cash register, you know, member of the Chamber of Commerce. You know, so they see, you know, that you're part of the community. You know, and a lot of times people, you know, they want to, you know, spend their money on people that are, you know, part of the community.
Yeah. Keeping the community together and supporting each other. I think it's huge part of a lot of communities is supporting. And that goes both ways, right? Like they want to support you, but it's also because you're trying to support them, right? You're bringing library in here. You're keeping a good laundromat. You're, increasing the value to that community, to that, your customer base and to that community as a whole, by operating your business well. Right. And so that's you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back kind of thing.
Well, it's definitely a two-way street. You can't just take. You have to give back, and I find the more you give back, the more people are appreciative of it.
Yeah, and it's a great way to build loyalty, right? When you're giving back and to the community and you're involved in the community there, it just makes people want to do business with you. It makes people want to be near you. So I think it's a great business plan, let alone just being a good person. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So, great. You got your eyes open for any other opportunities that are coming out there. You're building your business right now. You've had a good solid year under your belt that you've improved a little bit and you're ready to roll this year. How's this year going, by the way?
That's good. It's good. So far, I set semi-aggressive projections, based on the fact that it has been there 20 years. So, it's not like, this is year 2 period and you're going to have these huge, growth spurts. It's an established business, but yeah, I would say so far so good. I'm happy with it.
Good. Love to hear it. Well, we've got a segment of the podcast where we'll dig a little bit deeper into your laundromat, and it's called Down to Business.
Let's get down to business. Over and out.
And Down to Business is where we just dig a little deeper. So remind us again, where is your laundromat?
It's in Matawan, New Jersey.
Where is that? Matawan?
If you're from New Jersey, it would be considered like Central Jersey.
Central Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like an hour from New York, 45 minutes to the shore.
Okay. Nice. How do you like it there?
Oh, I love it. Other than 2 years, I lived in New Jersey my whole life, and you get all the benefits of, being around New York, Philadelphia. You have the shore, you have all 4 seasons.
But you're not in all the chaos of those cities and
right.
Yeah. Nice.
You can visit and then just go back home.
That's right. It's kind of like having grandkids, right? You just kind of hang out with them and then you just give them back.
Right.
That's funny. Okay. So what does it cost to do laundry in Central Jersey?
I don't think it's as much as you think, because I've researched, like other parts of the country, so wash and fold, you're probably talking $1.25 to $1.50 a pound. Pickup and delivery, $1.75 to $2 a pound.
Nice. What size machines do you have in your store?
We have 20s, 30s, and the biggest ones we have are 60.
Nice. What is this?
So for
run?
That's like $8.
Okay, that's a good price.
Yeah, but I've done like the research on the competition, and pretty much everybody's in that same area,
same neighborhood. Yeah, awesome. What? Do you track turns per day, or what do you?
I don't really track turns per day because we're heavier on the wash and fold side. So 60% of my business would be wash and fold, pickup and delivery. 1% would be, the soap and the candy machine, that kind of thing. Right. So you're talking 39% of, people doing their own laundry. And most of that is because we're already, in an established area. There's no new apartments going in there. So it's hard to grow that part of the business, other than to have the awareness that when your machine breaks, you can come to us. Yeah, because you get a lot of those people come in. Yeah. But what I do try to, we do a lot of business in like blankets, things like that. So I want like homeowners to realize, yes, I understand, you do your own laundry and that's fine. But when you have that king comforter that you don't want to break your machine or it won't fit, I'm more than happy to do your blankets, your comforters, things like that, your pet beds, bring them on in.
Yeah. Do you get much of that business?
The blankets, yeah. I mean, the blankets were, to my surprise, about 9% of our business last year. Wow. Was just blankets.
That's pretty good, actually.
It really, really surprised me because, probably about 3/4 into the year, I dug into the numbers and I'm like, okay, well now, I understand how the laundromat works. Let me kind of like, dig in there and, see where the actual money is coming from. And it kind of like blew me away because, you do a couple a day and you don't really think about it. And then you realize, after 365 days, you washed a lot of blankets, and they're not $5 a piece, So it really, the one place, and again, where I think it helps digging into the numbers, and I saw an opportunity for us is pet beds. Because we did 8 the entire year. And we have 2 dogs. We didn't even wash our own dogs. So I saw like, maybe in the spring, that's an opportunity, for us. But if you don't look at the numbers, you don't learn that stuff.
Yeah, I do think we have some educational opportunities in our communities to say, hey, look, I'm surprised, obviously we're in a weird little industry here. But I'm surprised at how many people, number one, have never been into a laundromat. A lot of people have never been into one. And number two, never have considered washing like a blanket or something in a laundromat, that they have bigger machines or anything. They just don't know. And so I think that there's some educational opportunity there to let people know, like, hey, you don't have to stress your at-home machine and hear it making those weird noises because it's overloaded or it's lopsided or whatever. And, we can do that here. Same with pet beds. Like, I think there's educational opportunities there, but 9% is surprising.
Well, that's one of the things that I try to do, like even when I go to like chamber functions, I told like my wife, I said, sure, I would love everybody to bring me their wash and fold, but that's not realistic. But I tell them, you know what? When you want to wash that king comforter, that queen blankets, put them away for the year or the season. Remember me. You don't bring me all your laundry, but if you bring me $200 worth of during the year of blankets, I'm more than happy to do that because it adds up. So, but like, I totally agree with you. We have to go out there and educate people because a lot of people think a laundromat, it's like 1980. I live in an apartment or my machine broke. What's the closest place I can find a washer and a dryer? And they don't realize how much time you can save. I have 3 kids. The youngest one is 18 now. But my wife is like, I wish I had known about this when they were playing, Little League, softball. Both my wife and I work. And, Saturday, there's, 100 pounds of laundry. And it's just like, I don't have the energy to do this. Well, wouldn't it have been nice, even if you don't do it on a weekly basis, just to sometimes just say, you know what? Fine, take it. Take it, do it for me, and I'm caught back up. And I can go do something else with my life because when you have kids, there's plenty to do always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nonstop. And that catch-up laundry too I think it's another little tap potential for us. I've definitely had times where I've just loaded up the car when I was going to the laundromat and just we did the laundry at the laundromat because we just had a lot. It was going to be like all day Saturday, or I could just get it done in an hour at the laundromat. Right. So definitely. I think that's a good opportunity. Is your store coin store, card store, hybrid store?
We're coins.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you?
I mean, we'll take credit card for the the wash and fold, Apple Pay, that type of thing. But the machines themselves, and I had thought about, do I do like a hybrid, but that's when I realized, most of my business is not coming from, the people putting the coins in. And nobody has really complained, and I understand. I could see, look, $8, pumping quarters in. It's a bit of a pain, but it hasn't really, I haven't seen anybody stop coming because they had to put quarters in. So,
yeah. How do you, just logistically speaking, because I think this is an obstacle a lot of people are trying to figure out how to overcome, is how do you logistically, how do your people who are doing the wash and fold, do you give them here's a bucket of quarters to start machines, or how does that?
Yeah. So I will periodically make $40 buckets, and I picked $40 because I think, a pound is $20. A pound of quarters is $20. So, you just weigh out, because sometimes, I'm sure people ask you too, how do you deal with all these quarters? And I'm like, honestly, there's really not much to deal with. I empty out the machines. I drop, when I get 2 pounds of quarters, boom, that's one bucket. So we have a couple of buckets. The rest goes back into the coin hopper. And pretty much what goes to the bank is the bills. Mm-hmm. So some of these coins, might have been through the system 50 times. And it's only the extra ones that I'll take to the bank. And my particular bank and the branch I go to has a coin counter. And it doesn't cost me anything because I'm a customer. So I can just, dump them in. So I think that's the perception a lot of people have, you got to be counting a lot of quarters. It's no, I weigh some out, and the rest, they either go into the machine, the hopper, or they go to the bank and the bank counts them. So I'm not, spending all day, just with little piles of, quarters.
I think I've shared this before, but for about a week, maybe not quite a week, when I bought my first laundromat, I did not have a counting scale or anything. I was counting quarters by hand. It was taking me, I was like, this cannot be the solution. There's got to be a better solution. So I finally figured it out, but that was a long week for me. I spent 4 hours counting quarters one day.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Not smart. Don't do that. Don't do that. How many hours ish a week, or do you think you're spending on working on the laundromat? It's a full-time gig for you, or are you doing it on the side?
I would say about 20.
Okay.
And then that accounts various different stuff. Sometimes I'll take a shift there because I don't want to be totally absent. I want people to, know that I'm the owner and, get to know people. Sometimes I'll do pickup and deliveries. I'm the one who will, go through and empty out the coin machines. There's also, that'll include some of the time that I spend marketing. So if I go to a chamber of commerce function, I would consider that laundry related, although I'm not physically, in the store. Or, the time that we might spend just digging into the numbers, that's not something your attendant is obviously going to do, but I'll sit there and okay, well, where could we improve? And, is it time to raise prices, or, do I need to add more machines? Cause I know they always want you to add more machines and get the new machines. And I totally get that, but do I honestly need them? Is it justified? So, so I'd say about 20 hours a week.
Yeah. Well, and that thinking time is important, because the they you're probably referring to are people who are selling machines, right? And so you got to know, okay, is this going to benefit my business, or is it not really a benefit for me right now? So that's good. Are you driving for pickup and delivery? Do you have a driver? How are you handling that?
I'll drive. Sometimes a family member will drive. That's the great thing about again having the laundromat close to you. I mean, my wife literally drives to the supermarket farther than we have to. We drive for some people that are pickup and delivery. I mean, some of the customers are literally on our way to the laundromat. So for us, it really hasn't been, a big deal, and also too, one of the things I have thought about playing around with is just to see how it works. And if it's an option for the future is like the gig economy, maybe let Uber pick it up one day, see how that goes. I've always been a little nervous with that because then again, if there's any issue like on the spot, they don't have an answer. They're just like, hey, lady, I'm just here to pick it up. I don't know, but like, if you're with the company, and the lady is like, oh, I forgot to mention, bleach the whites, well, that message is going to get there. If it's an Uber driver, I don't know, you got a 50-50 shot that they'll remember or tell it, the store when they drop it off. So I've always been a little, reluctant to sick them on my customers.
Yeah, there's definitely some obstacles kind of to overcome and some things to think through when it comes to the gig economy. It can be a great tool. It could be a great resource. But there are some things to think about, and there have been issues, like you're giving a part of your business to someone else to take care of, and it's going to be a reflection of your business, right? So you got to be careful. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Real quick, do you know how many pounds of like wash, dry, fold, pick up and delivery you do a year or did last year?
We did about 60,000 pounds last
That's
year.
awesome.
And I'm very proud of that because we have I hear a lot of the new laundromats, and it's fantastic for them. They're 5,000, 6,000. I went to an event in South Jersey, and I didn't have time to go to the laundromat, but I heard there was one that's like 13,000 square feet. So I told my staff, I said, just think about it. It's like 8 times the size of us. This thing is huge. But I really do pride myself on the fact that I get as much out of every square inch of real estate that I have in the store, and that goes for storage and sales and everything. Like I try to have not like a single wasted inch of the store.
Yeah. Well, and that's huge, right? Especially when you're in a limited, you have 13,000 square feet, you've got some room to waste if you need to or want to. You're
right.
1,500 square feet. You don't have a whole lot of room to waste there.
No, you got to maximize everything.
You got to maximize. Do you feel like you still have capacity in your store to do more of the wash, dry, fold, pick up and delivery?
Yes. So I've thought about when I will do not a full retool, but like a partial one. And we have room to maneuver, as the business, picks up on the pickup and delivery side. So you just have to be smart about it and plan it out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing about your business. I think that talking about this stuff is just helpful for everybody because everybody is trying to figure out, like, am I doing okay? Am I doing the right stuff? And when we start kind of sharing, how we're doing and what we're doing, it just helps us all. So I appreciate you sharing all that stuff and being.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you having me because that's one of the great things about the laundromat industry is that you're not competing with everybody. You're competing with, 3 or 4 places, maybe, so somebody, 50 miles from you, even if they're in the same state, they're not a competitor. They won't mind sharing best practices because the better all laundromats do, the better yours does because it has a better image and the more valuable it is when you go to sell it. when people have a very favorable image of the industry itself.
Yeah. Well, I'm not done with you, but yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right. We got another segment of the podcast called Pro Tips. Listen up. It's the secret sauce. And Pro Tips is, what's your best advice for someone who owns a laundromat now, who's operating, maybe something that's working for you or something you've done that you found some success in?
The biggest thing that I would say is to get out. I'm huge in getting out of your store and getting into the community. And that even could just mean, knocking on doors. I've gotten some business just by literally showing up and say, who does your laundry? Are you happy with it? Physical therapy places. There's a brand new golf course that's opening in New Jersey. It's the first municipal one in 10 years that's going to open. Luckily, it's in the town that I live. But, the thing was, I went there and, they're going to have all these towels and things like that. And they're like, oh, that's great because we don't have any way to do it. So we had a 5-minute conversation and we're going to be doing their towels next year. And all I did was just show up and say, hey, I own a laundromat. This is what we do. Would you be interested? So it's really amazing, because so many people, they wait for the business to come in. They do their Google ads and, and I'm not saying those aren't important. You should do those. But there's a lot of business that if you just simply went out to people and say, look, this is what I do, even if they don't bring you all of their laundry, like I said before, if they just bring me their blankets, I mean, how profitable, a blanket is, $25 blanket, I put it in an $8 machine. I put a couple of quarters in to dry it, and even I can fold those. There's not a lot of labor involved. They're very profitable. But if people don't realize you can do that because you didn't get out there, you waited for them to come to you, you're leaving money on the table. So get out there to your community.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think especially when you're getting started, we always want to do the things that like scale, right? Or the things that give us the most bang for the least effort. So that's why I think a lot of people are attracted to Google ads or Facebook ads or geofencing or whatever, which again, you should be doing. And those can be great resources for you to grow your business. But especially early on, doing the things that don't scale make a big impact, because I bet not only do you, get business from this golf course, but now some people at this golf course, right? You're in the Chamber of Commerce. Now you know a whole bunch of business owners in the community, right? And so word kind of gets out, relationships start to build, and business is done through relationships. That's what it comes down to. And so doing those things that don't scale actually end up helping you scale a lot of times too. So I think that's great. Great tip. We got another segment called, that was pro tip. Did I say pro tips? That was the wrong one, but that was secret sauce. But we got another one. Secret sauce is for the people who, I don't know, I get them mixed up sometimes. Pro tips is for the newbies. Okay, we got the pro tips again, but this time let's talk to the newbies, a person trying to find their first laundromat. You got any advice for somebody looking for their first one?
Pro tips.
I would say don't get desperate. Okay. It's not easy to find a laundromat. They're in demand. It's a good industry. That's why people don't want to give them up. But don't be so desperate that you do a bad deal just to get a deal done. Okay. Because laundromats, they're a good business. They're very profitable, but they're only profitable if you buy them at the right price. If you overpay by 50% because you're like, well, this is the only one that's out there and I really want one bad, and you're not going to make the money. So you're better off, some of the best deals are the ones that you don't do. So just because you want a laundromat and you really want to get into business, don't skip your due diligence and don't overpay just to grab one. Bide your time, one will eventually, if you let owners know, hey, I'm interested, maybe, 9 months down the road, their life changes. They have an illness. They're like, you know what, I'm done with this. Or my wife wants to move. You know what? They have your number, but don't just leap at the first opportunity because you're desperate to do it, because they'll sense that you're desperate and they'll take advantage of you.
That is great advice. I mean, I spend a lot of time on my consulting calls that I do. I feel like I'm half consultant, half therapist sometimes, because I'm reminding people like, hey, listen, I know it's frustrating. You're struggling to find something, or this one fell through, or whatever it is. And, it's way better to lose out on a good deal than to buy a bad deal. Like, I will say that from just personal experience, I would rather lose out on a good deal than buy a bad deal. Another good deal will always come around. There will always be another good deal. It's just a matter of time. But you get that bad deal, guess what? You're stuck with that bad deal until you can get rid of it. And a lot of times getting rid of a bad deal either is a lot of pain because you've got to put an effort to turn it into a good deal, or it's a lot of pain because it's just painful to get out of a bad deal when it's a bad deal. So I think it's great advice. Final segment of the podcast is recommended resources. You got any resources you can recommend to help us grow ourselves personally or our businesses?
Well, I'd recommend 2 books. One is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And I think, I wish, I had read that sooner in my life. Basically, the gist of it is, work on the business, not in the business. So if you own a laundromat, you didn't buy it to do all the washing and folding. Yes, in an emergency, you might have to go in there and fold some clothes, do things. That's totally fine. But you're not buying a job. You bought the business to grow it, to work on those aspects. So I recommend that. And if I can be a little selfish, I do recommend the Laundromat Bible. That just came out Friday. So, if I can recommend, I'll just show people the cover. Yeah. If I could just recommend that one. The forward is written by Brian Wallace. He's the head of the Coin Laundry Association. So I appreciate that. And I guess the last thing I'd mention, too, is, the Coin Laundry Association. There's they do a lot of workshops for free. There's a lot of information, that you can get. Also, Planet Laundry, it's a free magazine you can subscribe to. So Jordan, you're a source of a lot of great information, right? These podcasts, you have a YouTube channel. Well, it's okay to promote yourself on your own show. You have Laundromat Resource. These are all things, I'll be honest, I checked out, before I bought my first laundromat. So there is a lot of good information out there. I don't want people to rush through, and I'm sure you get these all the time, the consulting, I want to buy the laundromat and I just want to go from here to buying it. It's like, well, no, you got to do the painful steps of your due diligence and learning the business. Because I think that sometimes, it's made to appear too simple, and it's still a business. Yes, this is not like running Apple. I get that. But if you want to make money, it's still a business. You still got to put some effort into it. So you got to take the time to learn the business.
Yeah. Awesome advice about that. Spot on. Couldn't agree more. And also, I'm going to put the link to the Laundromat Bible in the show notes. And if you're on YouTube, it'll be down below in the description. Go check out the Laundromat Bible. Kudos to you for writing it. It just came out a couple of days ago when we're doing the interview. It'll be out a week or two or ish by the time this thing comes out. But out of curiosity, what was it like writing the book? Was that a fun experience? Was it difficult? The actual writing of it? I've
written a couple of books. Usually it's not that much fun writing them. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is satisfaction when, when people read it and they email you and like, oh, I learned from it. And that's where the satisfaction is. The writing of it is, it's not so much fun.
It's hard work.
It's a lot of work.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, this has been awesome. Listen, if anybody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to thank you for writing the book or anything like that, what's the best way they can connect with you?
I mean, they have my name on the screen. It's marksordos@gmail.com. You can meet me up on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Just send me an invitation. Say you saw me here. And, more than happy to connect with anybody that wants to get in the industry or that's already in the industry.
Awesome. And I'll have the email address and your LinkedIn link in the show notes and down below if you're on YouTube. Mark, man, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing so much wisdom, sharing kind of the ins and outs of your business and how you're running it and in your book. Can't wait. I'm going to go pick it up as soon as we get off this thing. I'm going to go pick it up. So I appreciate you putting the effort in that, helping the industry out there. And, man, looking forward to staying in touch, seeing how things are going.
Great. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Anytime. You're always welcome here. So appreciate you coming on and taking the time. Hope you love that episode with Mark. A lot of good stuff in there. A huge shout out to Mark for not only coming on the podcast and sharing so much wisdom, but also for putting all the time and effort it takes to write a book to help people get into this business and to run their businesses well. So check out the Laundromat Bible. And again, link is down below in the description if you're on YouTube. And if if you're not on YouTube, go to the show notes, laundromatresource.com/show151. And as always, this will be a huge waste of time for you listening to this whole episode if you don't